Night's wind cut through Thomas's coat as he stumbled from his truck into the storm's teeth. Two tiny bodies bound by frigid ropes huddled beneath the merciless sky, each shiver a plea for life. He pressed a trembling pup to his chest, its icy fur melting against his warmth. Time slowed. Distant howl of wolves, crackle of snow underfoot, and the silent testament of a desperate bond. In that frozen hush, he realized rescue meant more than mercy. It would rewrite fate. When a shadow stirred beyond the cabin window, he braced for strangers. Instead, a mother's silent vigil changed everything, unexpectedly. Thomas's breath puffed like steam as he knelt in the fresh drift, the ropes biting into his numb fingers. He never imagined fate would steer him from his solitary journey to this roadside atrocity, yet here he was, heart pounding in rhythm with the howling gale. The puppies lay still, eyes glazed with shock, each labored breath a fragile spark against the encroaching cold. He bent closer, whispering soft reassurances that melted into the hush of falling snow. Somewhere behind the roar of the storm, distant trees groaned under ice's weight. Thomas felt the weight of choice settle on his shoulders. Walk away and pretend he hadn't seen, or stay and risk everything for two helpless souls tethered to death. His pickup's headlights carved a tunnel through the whiteout as he wrapped the pups in his thick coat and hurried back inside. Max, his loyal companion of many years, ambled forward with cautious curiosity, nose lowered to the trembling bundle. The dog's gentle nudge confirmed what Thomas already knew. These puppies deserved their chance. He fired up the engine, heater coils roaring to life, and aimed the truck down a narrower track seldom used. Memories of his late brother's cabin guided him. A forlorn refuge tucked among trees, four walls strong, a stove that still breathed warmth into winter's grip. Each mile felt endless, but Thomas drove as if his own pulse depended on it. He pushed open the cabin door to a stillness that echoed his own solitude. Inside, the stale air carried the faint scent of old pine and dust. He arranged toweling under the stove's soft glow and laid the puppies side by side. The stronger one whimpered, eyes half open, while the other lay limp, paws cold as marble. Thomas boiled water, stirring powdered milk and honey into a lifeline. He dipped a rag into the mixture and held it to the trembling pup's lips. Slowly, hesitance yielded to hunger. The weaker pup remained still, its chest rising in shallow rhythm. Max curled nearby, a silent scent. Thomas knelt between them, murmuring encouragement he once reserved for lost loved ones. The fire's warmth pooled around them, a fragile sanctuary against night's relentlessness. Through the laughter of the stove and the crackle of burning wood, Thomas found himself talking to the pups as if they understood every word. He told them of brighter days ahead, of fields undisturbed by ice and days when the sun would dry their fur. The storm outside raged on, hammering the roof with icy fists, but inside, hope hummed beneath the surface. Memories of his wife flickered in the glow, her laughter, the comfort of her presence, and he realized this moment, this act of compassion, offered him something greater than mere duty. It sparked life in him too. Slowly the limp pup gave a faint shiver and the stronger one nudged its sibling. In that shared flicker of movement, Thomas sensed survival taking root. The night stretched and twisted shadows across the cabin walls until something beyond the window pinched Thomas's spine with sudden alertness. He paused mid-sentence, spoon in hand, and listened. A rustle among the pines, deliberate and soft, spoke of living breath. His heart thumped as he rose, boot heels clicking on the wooden floor. The pup's breath stuttered into expectant whimpers. Outside, the wind dared him to open the door. He pressed a palm to the frosted glass and peered into the half-moon gloom. Two dark shapes stood at the tree line, one motionless, statuesque, the other lower to the ground, body tense. Thomas swallowed, mind racing between terror of strangers and theory of nature's whims. He cracked the door, and the gale slammed it back with a roar. Snow spiraled in, stinging his face, but there, outlined against white, was the svelte figure of a dog, motherly in posture, cautious yet resolute. Behind her, a partner in weight, the stronger pup, tail stiff but hopeful. The mother pressed forward, each step deliberate, nose lifted. Thomas remained still, breath held. Max emerged, low growl rumbling in his throat, but did not advance. The mother's gaze fixed on the puppies inside. She padded forward until only the doorway separated them. Silent sniffs traced the air. Then, with a gentleness born of instinct, she entered, wiping snow from her muzzle on the coat Thomas still wore. The stronger pup nuzzled her, and she curled protectively around both. Thomas exhaled, shoulders loosening in unison with a sob he didn't know he'd held. Max dropped to his haunches beside him, tail wagging shyly. The mother shifted, head tilted, as if inviting Thomas to witness a reunion scripted by ancient necessity. The cabin seemed to shrink, cocooning the four creatures in a moment of transcendent grace. No words were needed. Each knew its role in this silent pact: the man, the loyal dog, the mother, and her pups. Outside, the storm's tantrum softened as if it too recognized this fragile peace. Dawn crept in pale and tentative, laying a hushed quilt over the forest. The cabin door opened to a world transformed. Drifts sculpted into rounded forms, trees bowed under winter's weight, and two tiny sets of paw prints leading into the pines. Thomas watched the mother lift her nose, glance back once at her charges, then step into the white expanse. The puppies scampered behind her, following the promise of freedom. He felt a pull at his chest, an ache tempered by pride. Together with Max, he stood in silence until the last snow-kissed form vanished among the trunks. The wind carried only memories of their passage. He closed the door and turned back to the cabin's warmth. The fire smouldered low, and where the puppies had lain, only faint indentations remained. Thomas knelt to smooth the towels, as if honouring their presence. Max nudged his hand, eyes bright. In that quiet aftermath, Thomas recognised a truth deeper than any longing he'd borne. Sometimes rescue isn't ownership, and love unfolds most profoundly when you set it free. He fed Max from a hearty bowl of kibble, then stared into the fading embers, heart lightened by a purpose reborn. Outside, the storm's fury had broken. Inside, a man and his dog held the echo of a miracle. Sunlight slanted through the smoke-streaked window, illuminating a dusty shelf where an old photograph lay face down. Thomas reached for it and turned it over, his brother and sister-in-law smiling, arms wrapped around a litter of puppies. Fate had circled back, reminding him that compassion, like warmth, travels in circles. He slid the photo back and rose, shoulders squared against the promise of a new day. Max followed him to the door, tail wagging bright as a beacon. Together they walked into the morning's hush, carrying with them the knowledge that the bravest act of kindness often asks nothing in return. Thomas stepped onto the snow-crusted path, Max padding faithfully at his side. Each footfall echoed in the morning stillness, as if the forest itself paused to witness their departure. He felt the cabin's warmth recede behind him, replaced by crisp air that carried distant bird calls, life stirring beyond winter's grip. Thoughts tumbled through his mind. The mother's trust, the pup's journey into freedom, and the quiet redemption found in selfless choice. He realized this night would remain etched in him, an emblem of compassion's reach. By midday, Thomas's truck rumbled onto the highway, wheels carving fresh tracks through the powder. Max surveyed the landscape from the passenger seat, ears perked at every flake dancing in sunlight. Though the world ahead was unchanged, Thomas felt renewed resolve. He would share this story, raise voices for those who cannot speak, illuminate kindness in cold places. Perhaps he'd build a shelter, volunteer his time, or simply carry this memory forward, letting its warmth guide future deeds. As they crested the final hill toward town, Thomas glanced at Max and offered a wry smile. The road was long, but they travelled together now, bound by silent purpose. In the distance, rooftops glimmered golden against the horizon. Their journey was far from over. It had only just begun.